What's up team, Mike here, River Run Jet Boats. Hey, today we are taking this Tohatsu 50 and converting it from a prop drive to a jet unit. So I just need to grab it out of that box, chuck it up on the stand over there, and then we'll take off the lower leg and yeah, convert it. Show you all the tips and tricks, because the old outboard jet conversion kits unfortunately don't come with instructions, so I'm your instructions. Stand by. So next up we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts. I'll just quickly get those undone, and then the whole lower leg essentially drops out with the shaft, and you'll end up with a lower unit like that. So let's get to it. So once we got all those bolts out, you can see those are nicely out. Now we do have one last pin just in here, and you need to make sure that you slap it into forward gear. So put the gear down, and then you can see there, I'll look from the other side. Ooh, just there, you can see we've got a pin. It's just a roll pin, and we just need to knock that out with a some form of pin pusher, like a dowel. So pin punch is the word I was looking for, and basically you want a 3mm pin punch. Slap that on the roll pin, tap it, there's our roll pin, and take that out. Now we should be able to slide the whole thing out. There we go. Out ski. Hey guys, so once you've got your outboard leg off the outboard, we can crack on and basically start to fit our outboard unit. So basically this comes as one piece as you see it. So you've got your main body of your jet housing, you've got 2 adapter plates, 1, 2. This one bolts to the underside of the outboard to your existing Tohatsu 50, and this one here will mount to the top of this piece, and then the 2 mesh together at the end, and bolts come through from the top side and hold your jet unit on. So it's super easy to remove. If you need to go and get in there and do your water pump housing or water pump impeller replacement, but we'll get to that. Also comes with one beautiful stainless steel impeller, polished. That's none of it's set yet, so we'll go through all of that. Bearing housing inside here, running SKF bearings. One very nice shiny brand new wear sleeve, and one very nice polyurethane jet boot slash intake. We run Hardox 450 steel on the underside of this, so very hard to beat up. Can be done. If you do bend those, you just knock your pins out, 1, 2, chuck your plate in a vise, straighten it up, and pop it back in and put your pins back in. Super easy to repair. I mean, these are basic in operation, so you know, everything's pretty straightforward, and if you know how to swing a spanner, you know, it is very easy to do most of these things yourself. So yeah, let's crack on. Basically there's a bag of bolts. It doesn't come with an instruction manual, hence why I'm making this video. But if you follow your nose, like they have sorted each. If I open this up, stand by, where's my knife? They have sorted every single, so this will be, you know, one part of the process, the next bag will be another part of the process, and the pins, the locator pins are all different diameters, so you can't really muck it up. I have found in one of these, one of the bolts is about 5 mils too long, so that will need cutting or filing down. And also with one of the locator pins, they're about 2 mils too high. So again, just a quick grind down, we'll get that sorted. I have asked our supplier to sort that out, so it should be sorted on future orders. However, if you do get one, I'll show you what to check when we get to that part, and yeah, I'll show you what to do. Right, so first thing first, we need to get the, let me get all this out of the way. Right, so for the first thing we'll be doing is essentially putting the shaft and bearing housing into the main body. So to do that, remove the 24mm nut, pop it somewhere safe. You can remove all of the washers. So within here, let me just explain this. We've got washers. We've got a thrust washer or a compression washer inside this housing there. You can see it's kind of like a cup shape. And then we've got a locking tab washer. So they go washers first, compression / cup washer, and then our locking washer there. So we'll put those down. We'll take the impeller off. Oh, there was one more rogue. So this is a bushing that holds your key in place. As you can see there, we've got a keyway, and we've got a flat spot on the shaft over here where the key will sit, and we'll get to that later. And we'll put that one somewhere for now. Put it inside the wear sleeve, and then our bushing. Right, so this is our bearing housing, bearing. We've got seals, you can see these bearing seals here. So another important fact, when you grease this unit from the outside, you're basically pumping grease into one side here. It lubricates all the inside of this housing. There's a channel, and it comes out of this hole here. So go very slowly whilst greasing, otherwise you're going to blow out either this seal or this seal if you're going too fast, too much pressure, and it's not coming out of here fast enough. The weakest point of resistance is going to be your seal, and if you blow that seal out, you're going to have water ingress and you're going to have milky grease, which is not ideal for bearings. So yeah, that's our housing there. So to fit this, basically what you want to do is, if you align, if you can see these two holes here, or these two bolt holes here, not sure how much of that you can see, but 1, 2 holes, those are our grease points. So what we do is we find the bag which has the O-rings, 2 small black O-rings, and we want to open this one up. And we want to grab those O-rings. There's actually 3, but I think we only need 2. Put the rest of the bolts down. So within here, polystyrene seems to get everywhere, so just remove any bits of that. But basically, 1, 2, insert our O-rings. That's just going to form a nice seal when we pop it down. And now we're aligning you've also got these pins, a pinhole here and a pinhole here, and then a pinhole here and a pinhole here. And the other way to figure out how to align it is you've got these small recesses for two smaller bolts, and those are your Phillips ones there. So if you can work out where they go, basically they go there and there, and then our pinholes go there and there. So it forms up a cross, but these two grease bits, sorry, they're over here. Hang on, let me lift that up so you can see it. You can see 1, 2 holes here, and that Phillips bolt hole in the middle. So if we align that, so you can see there's our bolts, or our grease holes rather, and then basically, I'll do it and then show you. You can also see if it's aligned correctly, because you'll see all of your recesses are sitting in the right place or thereabouts. So once you've got it there, pop it down. You can get your tools, Phillips screwdriver. I usually put those 2 bolts in first. Bloody hard to get rid of it. So keeping those pins in, keeping those bolts in, we want to put in our 2 locator pins, which are these chunky little numbers there. So 1, 2. Alright, let's try that again. Make sure our O-rings are still nicely in there. Yep. Alright, and now we know we're sitting in the right place too, yeah? I'll definitely fast forward all these bits. Right, so once you got those in, we know we're pretty much ballpark. You will have a little bit of lateral play on those bearings, but not a hell of a lot. So yeah, don't be alarmed if the shaft's moving a wee bit. That's normal. So now, with these, spring washer, regular washer, and they just go into any spot. That's a M10 by the looks. Sorry, 10 mil, not an M10. Then it should look something like that. Alright, from there we want to move on to this top plate. Now, there we go, something like that. So just set it somewhere where it'll balance nicely. This reverse bucket, use that to your advantage of some degree. So from here, that's our top plate, the one with the big recesses in. That's going to the outboard motor side, so we'll put that aside for later. And we want this guy here. So basically we just want to find, we've got 1, 2 locator pins. Find the bag of bolts with that correct set of locator pins. No locator pins in there. They look about right. Let's try that. there should be 2 long and 2 shorter bolts. If you look in the bag, you can see there that one's slightly shorter than that one. There should actually be 3 short bolts and 1 long, and that's the one that we need to cut down. So once you find this bag, just double check by grabbing out one of those locator pins, and once I get them out, right, if it is in fact that, those will fit nice and snug. Yep, beautiful. So what we should have in a perfect world is, see how we've got different length bolts there, about 5 mils different. We should have 3 short and 1 long. However, we've got 2 short, 2 long. So just take one of those and cut it to the same size as one of these. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back. Rightio, so once you've shortened that up, you should have 3 short, 1 long, just like that. Now the long one goes into the back one closest to the jet exit. So just look for the one closest to where your water would exit the jet, and that's your long bolt. Now you're going to need, again, spring washer, normal washer. Chuck that in there, and do the same with your 3 short. They can go wherever. So 1, 2, 3. Where's my other spring washer going? There it is. I keep hitting my head on the stupid camera mount, but anyway. Right, once you got those in, prepare yourself a 13mm socket, and then, so looking in from here, you can see there, 1 long is this one toward the tunnel exit, the other 3 are your short, and then you want to get your plate. Have that ready to go. Put your 2 locator pins in. One, and I just had one drop down there somewhere, which I'm probably not. Oh, there it is. Lovely. Chuck that in there. Need more hands, really. Ooh. Come on, there we go. Beautiful. Righto. So once you're in there, you can just a good solid, you know, hand tight nip up as much as you can give it without swinging off it. Now you just want to check, once you got it up this way, that none of your bolts are sticking any higher than the plate. If they are, you've put the long bolt in the wrong place. So that's our long bolt there. No, that's our long bolt there. So from here, we're getting ready to fit our water pump kit. Now, water pump kit sits right here in this section. Here's the water pump kit housing. Get this grease nipple out the way, so that literally just clicks onto that grease hose onto the grease nipple. Just while I'm here, if you do want to run a flush kit, this one bolt allows water through to this area here. So you can see just down there, that's where that bolt allows water through, so that you can flush your outboard and not have it in the water. So I'll show you what our flush kits look like. There's one of our flush kits there. This piece comes off, and you take that bolt out, this fella here, put that in, click this onto the back of it, and this side just onto your standard garden hose fitting, and then you click a hose onto that and away you go. That basically just allows you to flush your motor after you've run it in salt water without having to run it up a river or get a big bucket of water which it sprays out the back anyway. So yeah, we've got those on our website, 55 bucks, free shipping. Quite a nice finish on those, so yeah. Right, so water pump. We've got our water pump now. It always pays to look the orientation of it. Just if you're not 100% sure, just look at your outboard and you can see which orientation you've got on there, whether it sits that way or that way. I'll tell you the right way in a second anyway, but always good to pay reference back to your outboard. So the best way to see your orientation anyway is this, you know. If you put this plate on, it'll sit happily that way. If that's turned 180, obviously it's not going to mesh, so there you go. There's your correct orientation. Now, water pump kits. These outboard kits do not come with this particular kit, which, yeah, I think is a bit silly, but anyway, it is what it is. So these are purchased separately. I think they're about 99 bucks. Double check on our website, we do sell them on there. Now, what they recommend, I guess, when you get your jet conversion kit, is you can take the water pump kit off your existing outboard leg. However, if you know paper gaskets, they don't like to separate very nicely, so more times than not you're going to destroy that little paper gasket, this guy, when you're taking it off. So just be mindful that if you've torn that, it's pretty much useless and you're just going to get water pissing out the side of it. So yeah, we'll put those aside. So basically here we've got our nitrile impeller, and we've got, not sure if you can see that, we've got a nice little flat spot here on that shaft. So the idea behind that is in one of our other bag of bolts. Is it that one? No, it's this one. There we go. We've got a nice little key right there, which slots into that flat spot, which then slots into that groove, which you can see just there. Not sure if you can see that, but there you go. So yeah, this is the bag of bolts that we want. Cut that open. These 4 bolts are basically going to go down here, hold that onto the housing, or hold the housing onto that plate. So we'll just put those bolts aside for now. But like I say, every bag has its own bits that you need for that process, so you can't really go too wrong. So our 2 locator pins, so yeah, you can see we've got locator pins here and here, so that lets us know we want it that way around. Put our locator pins in like that. So I'll just do everything up here so it's a bit easier for you to see. So from there we want our first gasket, which I believe is this guy here, like that. Then we want our metal plate, and you can't get it too wrong because again our locator pins are one way around, so you couldn't flip that 180, otherwise it's just not going to work. From that point there we want our next gasket, like so, and from there basically our housing, we've got this little cap inside the housing. Now there is a slight cutout there, and that little dimpled cutout goes into this cutout that you can see there, so you can't orientate that the wrong way around. It will only fit in one way, otherwise you're going to be sitting proud. So prepare that as such, slide it onto the shaft. Oh, the old grease hose come out the way again, and then we want this little keyway, a little key, impeller key. Pop that on there like such. Now comes the tricky bit. So if you imagine this is going to sit on here like that, and your impeller, you want to get that little housing at about 12 o'clock, so we know where we're at. Without it, I'll go to 3 o'clock because of the angle we're on at the moment. So go to 3 o'clock so we know where that's going to be when we slide the nitrile impeller down the shaft. Now from here you've got to think backwards. So we look at our impeller, and our natural spin of the impeller to pick up water is clockwise, looking straight down on it. So we know that our water pump, when running, is going to be turning clockwise. So you want to drive that into this. This is going to be spinning clockwise, so we want to spin it into this housing anti-clockwise whilst putting pressure on it. And what I have seen guys do is put a little bit of grease in here just to allow it, you know, so you're not absolutely smoking it when you first run it up, just so it's got a wee bit of you know, lubrication in there. So I will just do that. Getting it out again is another story, but so just a wee bit of grease into this grease cup, or into the impeller cup should I say, and that's just going to help it, you know, spin nicely and not be bone dry the first time you drive it up. Don't go overboard with, oh shit, it's a bit too greased, isn't it? Right, so as you, there we go, something like that, and hope that it doesn't pop out again. So now we grab our housing and we pop that in, and then this little cutout here, we know that this is sitting at 3 o'clock, and we know that this is going to be sitting like this, so we want the groove to be about here, so we're a little bit past it, about there, yeah, about there, about there. Okay, let's see how we go. You can kind of watch it. Beautiful. Right, now she'll all mesh together, and then these don't have spring washers, just a straight washer, and we can connect all of those. Right, so once you got that done up, these paper washers, they're basically just a crush washer, but they will expand a wee bit when they get moisture in them, so don't be too fussed if they're not super tight. This here is the gasket, so your water line from your outboard will literally slot into there. So what I usually do is get a little bit of grease around there and get a bit of grease around here, just so it pops into this area here nicely, and you're not having to fight it, and it doesn't deform at all. So a bit of grease there, and it'll pop in just nice. So greased up, pop it straight into there, apply a bit of force, and it should just click into place. That's it. That's our water pump done. From here I'm going to put the adapter plate onto the outboard. So from here, basically you can't get this too wrong. You're literally just screwing these onto this here bottom of the outboard. So literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once those are on, we can slide the unit on, and I'll show you how to attach them together. So let me just do that quickly. Alright, so that's the housing bolted on. So now let me just move this camera back, and we'll do the next part, which is attaching the jet unit to the outboard. So you can see there, put a bit of grease on the splined end of your shaft, and then basically all we're doing is aligning that with the hole. And once you get up to the water pump, sometimes just a wee bit of a locating wiggle is required. Also the shaft, you'll feel once the spline meshes, and then that last little bit usually puts up a fight. Sometimes just spinning the shaft there as well. There we go. Now you can see we're in, and she's locked. So at this point you want to grab your bolts. That is still loose, so don't let go of it too much. But yeah, now our bolts come through from the top side. Once you got one of those in, you're pretty safe. So you got 1, 2, same on the other side, 3, 4, and one from the top at the back here. Now this setup just makes it super easy if you ever do need to change your water pump in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, top one, whole thing slides out, and you can access your water pump. A lot easier than say the Yamaha pumps and stuff like that, where you've got to internally take all the bolts out to pull your jet unit out. Yeah, I like the simplicity of this one. Okay, let's keep going. Overdo it again. Everything is spring washed, so I usually just give everything a good going over after a couple of rides. Make sure none of these have loosened off. Not that they should, but right, that's it. We've got our jet unit fitted. Now we need to check our gapping. So our gapping between our impeller and our wear sleeve. Right, let me grab the impeller first off. So once we get to this bit, basically you've got your impeller key and your bushing. So slide your bushing on, throw your impeller key in there also, and then you can basically sit that at the lower part of the shaft. Then, without any washers behind, we can slide our impeller on, and you just need to align the key in the groove. Oh, it's fallen out. You can do it from this side too, if need be. There you go. And then you want to put on a couple of washers, your cup washer, your tab washer, that way around. Oh, we're not going to lock this in place yet anyway. We're basically just setting the gapping between your impeller and your wear sleeve. So do that up so it's snug, and that's going to push it to the topmost part. And then once we set this wear sleeve in place, then we can see basically what you want to do is go around all 3 of your impeller blades and just check that your gapping isn't touching first and foremost. Then you're too low. So if you've got washers behind, because that's a tapered impeller, imagine it's tapered in this way, The further this way it comes, the closer it will sit to your wear sleeve, as the wear sleeve is locked to your housing. The further that way it goes, the bigger the gap is. So at the moment, I'd say we're sitting at about 0.7 mil maybe. At a rough guess, you can get feeler gauges and go in there. You want to be somewhere between 0.6 to 0.8 millimeters. So that's pretty good as a starting point. So what you do now is literally just tighten this up. That's a 24 mil nut. Tighten that up as much as you can before you feel the motor start turning over. So give it a little nip, and then you want to get these, there's the flat spots on your, hang on, if I take this off and I grab this camera and I'll show you from a bit closer. You've got, see this flat spot on the nut, and then this tab washer, you want to fold that down over, and this one here you want to fold it down and over so that it's holding it, that flat spot on this tab washer is holding it, and it will stop the nut from being able to undo itself. So once you've done that, then we can move on to bolting up the jet boot intake onto the unit. But I'll come back to you once that's done and show you what that looks like. So basically there you can see that nut is now locked in place with that tab washer. It's just folded over, so it's not going anywhere. And now basically we can put on our polyjet boot, which is here. So what we want to do with this is set the housing inside, have the toe facing toward the front. So basically she's going to go on straight like that, that 1326 facing toward us, and then we've got a bunch of 10 mil bolts that will bolt it onto those 6 stud bolts sticking out of the bottom of the housing. And I'll come back to you once we've done that one. Okay, so at this point you can see we've got 1, 2, 3 fitted. We need to put these final 3 in the front. Now the other thing that does need to go on is our splash guard, and that goes with the folds facing down. So basically if you look in here, it comes up, goes into that slot, and then bolts on. Like it fits nicely into that slot there. So not between the housing there, it goes into these nice designated slots and then bolted in through that gap there. Right, there we have it. One fitted jet boot. So I've just put on this splash plate, so you can see in there those bolts are a wee bit finicky to get to, but it can be done. And yeah, so you can see it's mounted in that groove, and there's the bolts there. Yeah, a bit finicky, but there we go. So now the only thing we've got left is to fit the reverse bucket. There's a linkage that goes between this point here and up to this point here on the lever. Now we don't generally run the reverse bucket because it sits on the underside of the motor and it's a weak point when out on the river. If you're going to be running predominantly rivers, I'd recommend to remove it. Very easy way to remove it is one bolt there, one bolt there. These pins that you can see through here, they come out, and this one comes out, and that whole bracket will drop away. And you can also take that bolt out and take this bracket off and just leave it sitting somewhere if you ever do want to use it. But basically, yeah, it's just a weak spot, and it's, you know, if you break it on the river, it's a nightmare. And they don't work that great when you're sitting in fast flowing water anyway, so yeah, I typically tend to remove them. We recommend to remove them. If you want to run it, it's completely up to you. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward. It comes with a linkage from here to here with a couple of adjustment screws. Just make sure if you do it, when you're set in reverse, you want this to be completely, see this little bit here, you want it to be locked like that. If you're sitting like that, a wave's going to come along, or a bit of spray or water, and it's going to kick it up, and it's going to put you into reverse very quickly. You'll know about it. So yeah, it's imperative that you get that locking all the way down when you're in reverse, or sorry, when you're in forward gear. Yeah, when you're all the way forward, you want it locked down like that so that it doesn't kick you up into reverse in a hurry. Cool. Otherwise, any questions, sing out or give us a call. Phone's always on. Happy boating. Cheers.